This is the story of a Greek king who got so hungry he sold his own daughter into slavery, ate every animal in his palace, including the family cat, and then, well, we'll get to that. Greek mythology has a lot of cautionary tales. Don't fly too close to the sun. Don't look back at your wife in the underworld. Don't open the box. You know, normal advice. This one's a little more niche. Today's lesson is, if a goddess shows up at your construction site and politely asks you to stop chopping down her sacred trees, maybe stop chopping down her sacred trees? This is the story of Erysichthon. His name literally means tearing up the earth, which, spoilers, turns out to be foreshadowing. So Erysichthon is a king. He rules a place in Thessaly called Docian. King life is pretty good for him, but one day he decides he wants to build a feast hall. A big one. Real banquet energy. The problem is, he needs lumber. A lot of it. And the closest, biggest, most convenient forest in the area happens to be a sacred grove dedicated to Demeter, goddess of agriculture, harvest, and not being screwed with. Now, you would think the local king would know this. You would think the giant offerings, the prayer tablets nailed to the trees, the nymphs literally dancing under the canopy at noon every day might tip him off. You would be wrong. Erysichthon grabs 20 of his biggest guys, hands them all bronze axes, and marches into Demeter's grove like he's about to clear a Costco parking lot. The first tree he hits is a massive poplar. Callimachus, the Greek poet who wrote this down, says it reached the sky, and when it falls, it actually cries out in pain. Because of course it does. This is Greek mythology. Everything has feelings and everything has grudges. Demeter notices. She is not pleased. But, and this is the part I love, she doesn't immediately smite him. She gives him a chance. She shapeshifts into her own high priestess, a woman named Nikipe, and walks up to him like, "Hey, my child, maybe don't cut down the goddess's trees. She might get a little upset about that." Erysichthon's response, and I am only lightly paraphrasing, is, "Get out of my way before I bury this axe in you." Bold move, talking to the goddess of agriculture like that. Let's see how it pays off. Split here. Demeter drops the disguise. She grows to her full goddess height, head touching Olympus, the works. Erysichthon's 20 guys take one look at this, decide their boss is on his own with this one, and bolt. Erysichthon, and you have to respect the commitment, keeps chopping. So Demeter curses him, not in a flashy way. No lightning, no turning him into a frog. She sends a messenger nymph all the way to Scythia, to a barren, stony wasteland, to find a personification named Limos, hunger herself, famine in human form. The nymph delivers the message. Hunger flies to Thessaly, sneaks into Erysichthon's bedroom while he's sleeping, and breathes into his mouth. Just exhales famine directly into his lungs. Erysichthon wakes up the next morning, and he's hungry. Like, really hungry. He calls for breakfast. He eats it. He's still hungry. He calls for more. Still hungry. He calls for a lot more. Callimachus says he had 20 servants preparing food and 12 people just pouring wine, full time, trying to keep up with him. And nothing works. The more he eats, the hungrier he gets. It's a black hole situation. His parents are mortified. Their son is the king. He can't be seen like this. So they start lying to everyone. The neighbors invite him to a feast. Oh, Erysichthon's out of town. A friend's wedding? He got hit by a discus. Tragic. Someone wants him at the athletic games? He was wounded by a wild boar, bedridden for 9 days. Meanwhile, inside the palace, he is eating everything. All the food, then the livestock, then the mules from the wagons, then the racehorse, then the war charger, and then, and I cannot stress this enough, the family cat. The text specifically points out that the mice in the house were afraid of this cat, and Erysichthon ate it. He's wasting away physically. Callimachus says he becomes nothing but sinews and bones, but he cannot stop, and eventually, there's nothing left in the house. There's one more wrinkle. Erysichthon has a daughter named Mestra, and Mestra has a secret. Poseidon, who has had a complicated history with her, gave her the power to shapeshift into any animal she wants. Erysichthon finds out, and he gets an idea. A terrible idea. He sells her into slavery. She uses her shapeshifting to escape, becomes a horse, a cow, a bird, a deer, runs away, comes home, he sells her again, she escapes again. This goes on for a while. Erysichthon, the worst dad in Greek mythology, and let me tell you, there is competition for that title. Keeps trafficking his own daughter to fund his eating habit. She keeps shapeshifting away. It is the bleakest loop in the canon. But eventually, even that runs out. The money's gone. The palace is empty. There's no more food, no more livestock, no more daughter to sell. So Erysichthon, and this is where Ovid lands the final blow, starts eating himself, bite by bite. He literally consumes his own flesh until there isn't enough of him left to consume. That's how the king of Doshan dies, devoured by himself. Here's the part nobody tells you. The Greeks didn't write this story because they thought hungry kings were funny. Erysichthon's name, tearing up the earth, was the whole point. This was an ecological warning, 3,000 years ago, about what happens when you take from the natural world without limit. He saw a forest and saw lumber. He saw his daughter and saw currency. And when there was nothing left to take, he turned the appetite on himself, because appetite without limit doesn't stop. It just runs out of things that aren't you. The Greeks occasionally were really smart. One more thing worth mentioning. The writer Aelian tells us Erysichthon had a nickname after all this. They called him Aethon. It means blazing, because the hunger inside him burned like a fire that never went out. Pretty good nickname. Pretty bad way to earn it. If you liked this one, the next video is about Tantalus, a guy who pulled off what might be the worst dinner party in mythological history. We're talking war crime tier hosting. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm the Goose. Stay out of sacred groves.